Howdy folks, this is BelGeode. We are in Microsoft Flight Simulator, and this is a test, otherwise known as a chill vid. Reason why they're all tests is because I am still in the process of finding just the right settings to ensure smoothness, lack of stutters, and of course clarity in the video. So that's why I keep doing this stuff like this, and that's why you haven't seen a lot of the full production videos, because I'd rather use these chill vids as kind of a way for me to, fix everything. Yeah. You know why I say it like that? It's Microsoft Flight Simulator, and oftentimes you can't tell from one login to the next exactly what you're going to get. Yeah, it's just a thing. It's just a thing. No doubt you've been eyeing this bird that I've been circling here. Yeah. Normally these are chill vids, but I think this one is more of an excitement vid for me, because this is the Cowansim MD500 Echo, or E model. And this particular livery is my own personal livery, November 70 Alpha Golf Bravo, brought over from X-Plane, and I am in love with it. I wish you could see the grin on my face right now. No, I'm not going to do like a little picture-in-picture. You're not going to see it. Nobody wants to see that anyway. But yes, Cowan is back, still using the default flight model for helicopters in Microsoft Flight Simulator with everything that comes with. A Sobo, fix your stuff, throttle, I'm looking at you. But yes, aside from that, we are going to take her for her maiden flight. Although, full disclosure, this will actually be like my third or fourth flight. But hopefully I'll be able to get everything right for you and show off the bird a little bit. Okay, so as is typical for us with these chill vids, the first thing we want to do is we want to check out all the external cameras. We've been in a drone cam this entire time. You can see my little buddy over there is walking around, probably waiting to find out if I need fuel. We'll go through that in a moment here. But let's go to the static cams. Okay, so this is our first static camera, and pretty straightforward stuff. Behind the bird, behind the exhaust. Not much more I can really say about that. I'm okay with it here. I would have kind of preferred it to be a little further back behind the tail rotor, however, but I can let it slide because there's another view coming up that does have exactly what I was looking for. Okay, second shot is going to be just in front of the left skid. There's an awful lot of left cameras in this, so Cowan, if I could make a suggestion, perhaps some right cameras as well, that would be awesome. But you know me, I'm the guy who tinkers around with the cameras.cfg for all these devs, it seems, and change stuff up. So don't be too surprised if I do that with this one. But I kind of like this view though. It's great for like taking screenshots and so on and so forth, even if in VR it does feel like you're kind of buried up to your neck here. Okay, and then we have the infamous BelGeode landing cam. Yay! I love the BelGeode landing cam. The only thing that I would say about this one is I would kind of like it to be a little lower to the ground and a little more pointed forward. But of course, if we point it forward as is, you can see what pretty much dominates my view. That's why it needs to be a little bit lower. Like this, it's fine, because when we're flying, we can take a look at the ground below us. So, I may tweak it, I may not. And this was the view that I was talking about, right on top of the stabilizer here, above the tail rotor, and you can see pretty much the entire bird, which is awesome. I love this view. This is just perfect. Don't change a dang thing with this. And we have another left side view here. This is on the skid, looking forward. This is fine because of the fact that we've got that little mirror right there. Although mirrors are kind of a weird thing in Microsoft Flight Simulator. They don't work perfectly. It's not like DCS. And then we have this view, which is, of course, a little higher up, but pretty much the same view. And this is what I'm talking about, Cowan, if you're watching. I kind of wish we had this view only on the opposite side of the bird, you know, to kind of offset the fact that we've got a view on the skid on this side. But again, that's something I can do myself in the cameras.cfg. And of course, whenever I make any modifications, if I really like them, I usually send them to the developers to incorporate. And then we're back to this view. So we're going to leave it here because I like this view. This one has pretty much everything I could ever need, except of course the tail rotor, but we do have tail rotor if we look straight up. So there we go. All right, let's hop into the bird and see if we can get her started. Okay, so first thing I want to say about the interior of the bird, some people have said it feels like the scale is a little too big. I'm looking at these headphones, and these headphones look just about right. Now, I did have to raise my seat and push my seat a little bit forward, because I believe if I were sitting in this thing in real life, which I have never done, by the way, I'm just guesstimating here, my head should be right above this, the doorway entrance there. Because that's kind of why this thing has that bubble canopy there, you know, to accommodate people with long torsos and whatnot. Not that that necessarily describes me, but you know. All right, one thing I do want to do, I want to make sure we've got enough fuel, and I also want to show you that you can add a co-pilot, and it's a little bit different this time around. You may have noticed in the outside view that the pilot is actually the Asobo pilot, which thank you so much, Cowan, for that. The co-pilot, however, is not the Asobo co-pilot, so we will not have Kara with us in this flight. We'll have another person, and I'm going to show them to you momentarily. All right, so we open up the VR toolbar, and we go to weight and balance. Wait for all of that to load up. Let me see, how much fuel do we have? We have 60% fuel. You know what? I'm going to bump that up. 71% fuel. There we go. We should be fine with that. All right, and you'll notice in the weight section, 170 pounds for the pilot, which is definitely not my weight. Especially since I've been working from home the last few years, my weight is probably like close to 200. But we're going to add 170 for the right side. Let me just add that and press enter. Okay, and look what happens. Hey, we got a co-pilot with flashing hair and eyelashes. Dude, you're not going to come in my helicopter and go all weird on me now, are you? Oh, and by the way, we're going to give you a name. Your name is now Fred. That is correct. That is your name, Fred. Now, Fred, if you can do me a favor, please. I'm going to reach across you here and close the door because I kind of would like to have the door closed. I can't reach the door. Why can't I reach the door? Here we go. Perfect. Thank you, Fred. Fred doesn't seem too pleased with me. Okay. But that's all I wanted to do on this screen, so we're going to go ahead and close this out. Now, there is a checklist. I did not see a manual. You know how I usually have the little pop-up popping up right now to indicate, hey, there's a manual in there and a checklist? I couldn't find a manual, so I don't know if that's something that Cowan is working on and is coming soon. I would imagine so. Cowan's usually very conscientious about this kind of stuff. But the checklist is there. The in-game checklist, or in-sim checklist, I know some of you get triggered when you say in-game, is right here. So that we're going to use. Now, I'm not 100% certain how accurate this checklist is. I have zero experience with any real MD500s, so those of you who know better than I, please chime in the comments and let me know. But we're going to follow this checklist as best as we can with some minor adjustments. And we'll see if we can get this bird started. All right, so doors closed and locked. Would you look at that? I just took care of that. Rotor brake lever off. Okay, now your rotor brake lever is right there. You see that thing there? If I pull on my flap lever on my vertical throttle, now the rotor brake is on, which means the rotors are being stopped. We want to make sure it is off. So right there, that's what we're looking for. That is something that people tend to forget, so don't be too surprised if you see that coming up in a checklist often. Just make sure it's where I just put it. All right, seat belts, don't have to worry about that. We're in a flight sim. Battery switch on. Now typically I will use the button on my Virpil that I have set for both battery and generator, but I only want the battery to be on, so we're gonna just flip it manually up. And you can see the master avionics already comes on, which is fine. I'll leave that as is. Hopefully it's not going to drain too much of the battery, because it does kind of look like we're low on the amps there. It's drawing. I just don't know how much it's drawing. Yeah, that could be a thing. All right, controls. Free and clear. English. What a language, huh? Okay, let's check that. Cyclic. Forward, back, left to right, left to right. We can also check the collective. Collective all the way up, collective all the way down. Okay, all of that seems to be fine. Landing light off, yep. Throttle, check. Okay, now, going back to the whole Asobo fix your stuff. The throttle is still an issue. The throttle doesn't have a proper key binding or axis binding. So you got to use a mouse if you're in VR, or touch controllers if you prefer to use those. You'll see the throttle says it's off. Hopefully you can see that. If I mouse over and roll it, now the throttle goes to idle, and the throttle stop should click into place, which basically means that you cannot turn the helicopter off. When you see the two metal dots there, that's pretty much your maximum throttle. So we can roll it all the way back to idle, and you'll notice that it stops because of this sleeve right here. So we push that back up, and we can roll it to off. So there we go. That's where we want to have it. All right, so throttle is checked. Fuel quantity, we are going to check you. Fuel quantity is this gauge right here. And yeah, it says we've got a fair amount of fuel, so we should be good. We are, by the way, in Norway. I didn't mention that before because, to be honest with you, I forget what airport I set myself up at. I was just looking for someplace scenic. Of course, you will have already seen the little pop-up that tells you exactly which airport or airstrip we're at. Flight instruments check. Altimeter setting. I'm pretty sure we're on 29.92 because I have set us to offline weather, so we're running a preset, few clouds, I believe. All the other gauges look to be in the 0 position, so I'm okay with that. Compass check working. I don't know how I'm going to check that. It looks like it's pointing in the correct direction, though. Yeah, according to my HSI, it's just beyond 30 degrees, and that's kind of what the compass says, too, so I'm okay with that. Everything seems to check out. North is still where north is supposed to be. Annunciator panel lights. All right, here we go. Lit up like Christmas tree. Perfect. Just what I was looking for. Okay, we're good to go there. Fuel shut-off valve. Okay, now I don't know if this is reversed or not. Right now it's pushed in, which is supposed to be the on position. Or open, I should say. When I pull it out, that appears to be the on position. But I think in real life, when you pull it out, it's supposed to put the fuel off, so you wouldn't be able to start it, but I don't know. All right, we're going to assume that's okay, and rotor brake lever off. We already confirmed that, so I'm not going to look behind me. Okay, so engine start. Wingtip position and strobe lights. All right, so those are all here. I'm going to use these. So anti-collision lights on. Position lights on. You'll notice we already have our green dashboard lights or panel lighting already on, so we're good to go there. And make sure the area is clear. Well, technically it isn't, but hopefully our little dude won't go to the left side of the helicopter and get his head chopped off by our tail rotor. Rotor brake lever off. See what I mean? Don't forget your rotor brake level or lever. See, I told you English is so hard today. Dang. Throttle is closed, starter on. Okay, let's go through all of that really quick. So I believe we're supposed to have the fuel switch pump to start pump, and the ignition key should be in the on position, which I believe is there. Again, you real life MD500 guys, please feel free to chime in the comments, correct anything that I'm doing. I will heart your post, provided of course it's a decent comment. and that way everybody can see it, just so we're all on the same page and make sure we know how we're doing this correctly. All right, but we are just about ready to start. So what's going to happen is I'm going to hit the starter button. We're going to be watching the N1 gauge. Once it gets past 12 on the N1, we will introduce fuel by moving our throttle to the idle position until we hear the little click of the little sleeve. And that should be it. Okay, so wish me luck is what I'm trying to say here. I'm going to hold down the starter. We're at 10, we're at 12. Let's go ahead and fire that up. Oh, I got nothing. Why do I have nothing? Uh-oh, what did I do wrong? Is it the fuel valve? It could be the fuel valve. All right, so you know what we got to do. Gotta click that, roll this back to the off position. There we go. All right, let's try this with the valve in. Like I said, I wasn't 100% certain if it was backwards. When I tried this the last time, it didn't want to start with it pushed in, so we'll see. All right, starter on. Okay, that did it. I had to pull the thing back out. Cowan, you may want to take a look at that. Either I'm doing everything completely wrong, which is entirely possible and more than likely probable, or there's something not right in the way everything's set up. And the fact that the ignition key is missed in the startup checklist is a little bit of a concern for me, because I know you can see the key, and obviously you're probably going to want to turn the key, but the fact that it's not listed might trip people up who tend to go by this. But with that having been said, after a little bit of technical difficulties, it does appear that we are good to go. All right, we still have our generator out, so let's go ahead and turn that on. There we go, generator is now on, and now it looks like we're drawing some amps. Okay, oil temperature check. Oil pressure check, alternator on, flight instruments check, and then throttle to full. So that's it for the checklist. We're done with that. We'll close that out. So let's check our gauges here. Torque is a little low, as to be expected, because we haven't rolled the throttle all the way up. TOT does seem a little high. It's in the yellow. Hopefully we didn't hot start this thing. I really hope we didn't. We'd probably have flames shooting out the back if we did. All right, let's go ahead and get our throttle up. Oh wait, the throttle's already up. How did that happen? I sure as heck didn't do it. But it says we are good to go. It says we are exactly where we need to be for our rotor and our engine RPM. Interesting. Cowan, what's going on here? What kind of helicopter voodoo you got having going on here? This is just craziness. All right, don't mind me, I'm having one of those days. Okay, let's go enter on this, enter on that. Now I have chosen just kind of like an arbitrary airport to head to, but before we actually head to there, we're going to do a little bit of shenanigans here. All right, our altimeter says it is on. Altimeter on the transponder, that is, ALT. I'm not sure why it says 1200. Should read 7,000, right? And I'm going to turn our landing lights on. We'll also set our clock for local time. It says 13:30. Okay, so it's early afternoon. Okay, dude, you may not want to be too close to me because this helicopter tends to slide to the right. But first, before we take off, let's go around the helicopter and make sure everything's looking kosher. And I'll also set my GPS to GPS. There we go. Okay, Fred looks like he's ready, and I am most certainly ready. I'm a little concerned about that TOT though, but as long as it doesn't jump any higher than that, we should be okay. Alright, I'm going to forego the whole tower and everything else. We're just going to try and take off. So, Collective is slowly coming up, and let's see which way she wants to go once she gets light on the skids. We do have 71% gas plus a co-pilot, so we're a little heavier than normal. But I'm starting to feel it right now. Okay, so she wants to go to the right. Now the first thing I can tell you as far as the flight handling of this bird, she is very sensitive, and she actually takes a lot more pedal work than the Bell 206 that you would have seen previously on the channel. Like, I'm giving it a fair amount of left pedal here just to kind of keep her in the right position. And you can see I am all over the place with the cyclic, just trying to, again, keep her in the right position. But so far, she seems to be controlling well, and she does have force trim as well, so we can also utilize that, and we will utilize that during our flight here. I'm just trying to move us a little to the right. Tower's probably like, what the heck is that guy doing? Don't mind us, buddy. Don't mind us. You just take care of your business. As long as there's no one coming in or going out, we're not in the way of traffic. We're fine. Alright. You will also notice that there is a translating tendency in this helicopter, so we're kind of down on the left skid. That is normal. I'm just trying to get her into a nice hover here, or at least attempting to with my meager skills. You know what? That's probably not bad. Okay. So how about we do something fun and fancy before we start heading out here? Let's head over to that fjord and we'll kind of play follow the river here. Alright, everything looks good, so I'm actually going to trim, rotor trim forward just to get us into that effective translational lift. And we can start playing with the pedals here just to make sure we're at least pointing in the right direction until we start weather vaning. Oh, and look, there's a fighter jet over there. What is that? F-15 from the looks of it. Ah, I didn't realize DC Designs had a base here. Oh, maybe it's an F-18. Can't really tell from here. Went by so fast. Alright, but look at that. Here we go. We got the fjord right here. And I am going to come off the pedal here and see what she wants to do. That little beep that you heard indicates we are above our rad alt, which is fine. I'm going to trim us forward just a touch here. And we'll also trim us a little to the left because we want to rotate to the right. Alright, so how about we do some fun stuff, huh? A lot of pedal work on this bird. I'm liking it. I'm liking it a lot. Okay, here's a river we can follow. So let's go ahead and do that. And you know what? Let's go to the outside view and do that. Oh boy, lost a lot of speed around that turn, but that's okay. I'd rather do my flying from the inside, so here we go. Here we go. This thing is just awesome. I love the fact that it picks up speed fairly quickly. You can see we are already around 60 or so knots. And as soon as we get over this bridge, there we go. Keep following the river to the left here. Now we're closing in on 70 knots. I'm giving her a little bit more collective, just a touch, and I'm really working the pedals here. Folks, this helicopter to me, how do I put it in a way, a good analogy? It kind of reminds me of being a musician again. So as you know, if you're not a stranger to the channel, I used to be a bassist. Well, you may not know that I actually dabbled in playing drums at one point in time. This feels like playing drums, and by that I mean all four of your limbs are getting a workout. You gotta be Johnny on the spot here with these pedals. You gotta be all over the collective and the cyclic. You really can't leave it alone for too long. This is a very hands-on helicopter. But that's the fun of it, and that's the beauty of it, and I think that's why pilots really enjoy flying it. Because of the fact that you can do all of these crazy things with it. Once you're proficient, that is. Alright, so we're going to continue heading this way. I know this is not the way we should be going to get to our destination, at least according to my GPS anyway. But I'm just having fun. And that's kind of the point of a helicopter like this. I mean, sure, you can do all the various utility stuff with it, as is typical for most helicopters. But let's face it, part of the reason why anybody flies an MD500 is to get down in the weeds with your hair on fire like Magnum P.I. You know it, folks. You know it. Alright, let me try something here. I want to see if I can bring us down in one of these fields. So, I'm pulling the collective down. And you can see we're starting to get below the green arc on our forward speed, so we need to watch our vertical speed as we're doing this. And it seems to be a little high up to bring her into an in-ground effect hover, but we're going to attempt it. We're coming down at about 500 feet per minute. Oh, no we're not. We're coming down a little bit more than that. And again, all over the pedals. If it seems like I'm a little bit more unstable than I was in a 206, yeah, you're not wrong in that. I totally feel out of my element right now because this is only my, what did I say, third or fourth flight with this thing. And yeah, it's going to take some getting used to after being used to both of the Bell 206s that have come to Microsoft Flight Simulator. All of a sudden, here I am in an MD500, and it is a different animal. Whew! Doesn't make it any less fun, though. It is a ton of fun. Alright, let's go to the BelGeode landing cam real quick here. Probably as good as we're going to get for a landing. And part of the reason why I did this is I hadn't checked to see if Cowan had added the dust, you know, the rotor downwash, kicking up dust and so on. It doesn't appear that that is the case. I know he recently added it to the 206, so I'm hoping that will be coming soon for this bird as well. However, be advised, if you do have it for the 206, it will dip your FPS. So keep that in mind. Alright, now, according to this, we've got a destination that is off to the west-southwest. So, let's see if we can do that. Let's go ahead and pick her up. I did not remove the trim settings that I have in here, so as you can see, takeoff this time is a little bit different from what we experienced the last time. But I'm going to quickly get us through effective translational lift, or ETL. Bring up that forward speed, gain a little bit of altitude. We're going to flip ourselves to the right here until we are lined up with where we need to go in the GPS. We'll try not to lose all our forward speed in the process here. Oh, look at that. Is that a Norwegian church? We'll have to take a closer look. It's actually kind of cool. Doesn't look like there's any black metal bands around, though. If you get the reference, just say, yeah, I got it. But yeah, really cool stuff. And by the way, everything that you're seeing here is default for Norway. And don't forget that we did have the Scandinavian update, the world update, many months ago. That is installed, so this is what you're seeing right now. Even though I do have it in offline mode, all of those features are added to the sim in offline mode. Of course, if I were online, the weather would probably be considerably different, but you know, it is what it is. We're not going to worry about it. Alright, we're going to buzz the airport here really quick. Don't mind us coming through. I told you, you mind your own, we'll mind ours. I'm going to trim us down just a touch here. There we go. So now I can pretty much leave the collective as is and just use cyclic and pedals to direct myself where I want to go. And as you can see, we have definitely gained in airspeed. We're just over 100 knots. That's pretty good. Alright, which way am I heading, though? That's the real question. I guess we need to go this way. Now, of course, there is no autopilot in this thing, but we kind of expected that. That is not a thing currently for a Microsoft Flight Simulator, autopilot in helicopters. I'm sure we will get it at some point in time, just don't ask me when, because I have no clue. Alright, but I do believe this is the way that we want to go, so I'm going to get us a little bit more altitude, and I'm actually going to turn us a little bit more here. Just watching the GPS. Okay, right about there should be good. And we'll give it a little bit more collective after all. Keep that airspeed going. Okay, so once again, we will go to the outside view and we will take a look at the world around us. Now, of course, we may run into a little bit of an issue when we get further out. Because of the fact that I'm in offline mode, it may not have actually loaded in all of the trees and all of the scenery that we would need. Should that happen, then perhaps we may not get to our destination, because I really don't feel like stopping the video and turning on online just so it'll actually, you know, register all the trees and everything, and then turning it back off. That seems like a whole heck of a lot of work for me. So yeah, we're going to bypass all of that here. But I do love the countryside, though, and it does look good considering the fact that everything is default, plus, of course, you know, the world updates added to it. Really feels like Norway. That's all I can say. This trip was suggested by a very good friend of mine, Jess, or Jessie. So, shout out to you. Thank you very much, my dear, for the suggestion of flying in Norway. I know you had a particular area in mind, but I was unable to find airports close enough to that area. So I hope this will work for you. Alright, so what are we doing as far as speed goes? 105 knots. You know what? I'm okay with that. We'll try to keep it between 100 and 105. We're still climbing, by the way. You can see we're just over 2,000. So we're doing good. Fred, are you doing good? Fred has nothing to say. Okay, Fred, you know, I kind of miss Kara. I'm just going to throw that out there, Cowan. I'm kind of missing Kara. Kara at least would talk. Well, she talked to the tower. She wouldn't talk to me. Alright, now I'm not 100% sure how far we need to go to get there, and I probably should have set my GPS and everything before I actually started flying, but it's me. Sometimes I do things by the seat of my pants here, so yeah, it happens. But one thing you will notice is that the textures are starting to look a little bit less. You know why that is. I've already explained it. That is because we are in offline mode. Now, of course, the real question is going to be, depending on how far away our destination is it going to have everything loaded in that we would need to have loaded in? For that, I'm not 100% sure. But if we do happen to find an interesting little spot along the way, maybe I would just land there and we would call the video itself done. My main thing for this video, aside from, of course, the fact that it's a test and I want to make sure that everything is working as intended, recording-wise, in VR, is basically just to get the hang of this bird. And I would say that we're doing pretty good in that department. She flies rather well. Of course, bearing in mind the fact that, you know, it's me, and here I am hopping into the bird and quickly trying to fly it when I really don't know too much about it. But yeah, you can see we're definitely missing some trees and so on up here. But there is what appears to be another church. I'm assuming that's a church. Oh, we'll find out. We'll get closer to it. Yep, most definitely looks like a church. Okay. Don't see any airports, though. That could be a problem. That's one thing I will say Norway is known for, is its churches. As well as its black metal bands. Again, if you get the reference, yeah. Alright, there is what appears to be another fjord up ahead, so I'm going to head over there because it does look like it's got trees in that neck of the woods, so I'm hoping that will help us out. In the meantime, let's go back to the outside view, and we'll put it on a BelGeode landing cam as we make our way forward. Okay, yes, there is most definitely a fjord up ahead. And I'm going to turn us slightly to the right here. I don't know how close to our airport we actually are, and since this is, as I said, a very hands-on helicopter, I'm kind of hesitant to take any hand off and reach for my mouse to see if I can maybe zoom out the GPS. We're going to chalk that up to a my bad, because what I really should have done is set up the GPS ahead of time. But I'm going to try it here. So, alright, map zoom. Oh heck, we got a long ways to go to get to where I'd like to be. I may opt to not go all the way there. Actually, look at that. Look about 90 degrees perpendicular to where we're flying. There is an airport down there. You know what? Let's try and fly over there. I need to figure out what heading that is. I want to say it's southeast. The sun's off to the west. We are currently heading south. Okay, heading of 150. We're going to keep returning. Looks to be close to 120. See, this is the kind of stuff that I enjoy doing in the sim, and I hope you do too. Just exploring the world, maybe seeing places that, you know, we may never get to see in real life. But that's just the beauty of this all. Although I am going a little fast here, I'm closing in on like 120. That's not good. TOT has gone down nicely, however, so I am okay with that. And we are kind of dropping like a rock, so I'm going to keep us a little higher than 1,000. Put some more collective back in. There we go. I like to tell you what I'm doing as I'm doing it, because I typically don't like doing picture-in-picture. That just eats up too many resources. I know a lot of flight simmers that are on YouTube will generally show you like their hands, the controls, and so on and so forth. I got enough to deal with. I really do have enough to deal with, so I'm not even going to worry about any of that stuff. You'll have to take my word for it that when I say I'm adding collective, I am adding collective. I mean, why wouldn't I? I certainly don't want to fall out of the sky. So, with that in mind, I'm actually adding a little bit of collective right now. You knew it was coming, right? Alright, so according to GPS, airport directly ahead. I have no idea how far out I am. What is that, 25-mile range? Yeah, it looks like it. Either 20 or 25 miles. See, this is why you don't pay attention to what's going on in the cockpit when you're flying a helicopter. Keep your head out of the gauges. Focus on your flying. What does it pilots like to say? Aviate, navigate, communicate. That's a piloting 101 tip for you there. Alright, but I think I'm heading in the right direction, and as long as I am going, let's see, 130 degrees, we should have the airport coming up probably beyond these mountains. So again, we'll find a nice cool view outside and we'll take a look. Okay, let's see how we're doing here. So there is a lake, and just beyond the lake, close to the river, I'm assuming that's a river, there should be an airport there. Okay, so finding it is going to be the real trick. So we're going to start losing a little bit of altitude here. Really should do this from a higher altitude just to kind of make sure I'm in the right ballpark and then bring her down. But considering how fast we're going, I don't mind losing a little bit of altitude here, because it looks like we've got a nice, healthy looking valley. Lots of farmlands. Wonder what they grow here. If you happen to know, let me know in the comments. I imagine probably same as everywhere else. Although now I'm starting to think Skyrim. It's probably cabbages. Like whole fields of cabbages. Yep. That's my story and I'm sticking to it. Hey, look, it's Riverwood over there. Hope there's no dragons in the sky. You can tell I've been playing way too much Skyrim. Alright, according to bottom GPS, right along the shore should be the airport. Not seeing the shore, however, so this is going to get interesting. Once again, I am going to do what you should not do and take my hands off the control so that way I can zoom in. Okay. Now we kind of see where we need to be. Okay, so I need to swing out to the right here a bit. Doing some IFR, I follow roads, or I follow rivers if you prefer. It doesn't matter as long as it all gets us to the same spot. I'm not seeing any beacons or anything, but I'm assuming there's going to be an airport nearby. Let's hope so for our sake, otherwise this is going to be a very interesting end to the video. It does appear it's on the other side of the lake, however, so it might be a grass field. Alright, so here's what I'm going to do. I am going to remove all force trim. So force trim release, nose will pop up. There it is. There's our pop-up that we were looking for. Start pulling the collective down and putting the cyclic forward. And yeah, that certainly does look like it might be a grass strip on the other side of this river here. So we're going to find a nice spot to park. I should probably do some recon, so here we go. Okay, that most certainly does look like a hangar, so I'm going to assume this is a grass strip that we're aiming for here, because it looks like we're right on top of it right now. Yeah, that certainly does look like a hangar, doesn't it, folks? We're going to go with this is where we're supposed to land. If not, I'm sure there will be some angry Norwegians wondering what the heck we're doing on their property. We'll deal with that in due time. But yeah, if I had to guess, I would say this is supposed to be an airport. I don't know, maybe it's for gliders or something like that. But you know what? We're a helicopter. We can land literally anywhere we want. The world is our helipad. So yeah, we're going to go with that. Alright, now getting her down is going to be another interesting thing here. So, again, we're playing with the collective, we're playing with the pedals, we're trying to keep the cyclic in a way that keeps us relatively right side up so we don't end up like that meme that you're probably seeing right now. We're trying to avoid that here. Alright, well, let's start bringing her down into ground effect. Once you get the hang of this helicopter, she really is a treat to fly. I know, I'm impressed. But then, doesn't take much. Give me a helicopter, I'm happy. Or a fighter jet. Or a warbird. Heck, just give me anything with wings, whether rotary or fixed. I'm happy. Except airliners. We'll draw the line at airliners. Okay, this looks like it is a good spot to bring us down, so I am going to point us this way, and we'll try and land on the brown area. I think the brown area is just begging to be a helipad. Alright, I want to do this nice and easy here. Nice and easy. Okay, right about there should be good, and we'll bring her in. There we go. Soft as a pillow. I love it. I love it. Alright, so that's basically it. Granted, it's not the airport that I initially wanted us to land at, but you know what? I am good with this, because at least we have some scenery around and I don't have to put it into online mode, which of course will introduce all the stutters. Asobo, you may want to take a look at that, if you don't mind, please, and try to figure out what exactly is going on there. In the meantime, that is just about it for me. So thank you as always for watching. This has been BelGeode. I have been flying in Microsoft Flight Simulator, and the aircraft that we've been showcasing today is the brand spanking new Cowansim MD500E or Echo model. It is currently available on their site. Everything will be linked in the video description below. Give it a few weeks and then it'll appear on Marketplace as well if you want to purchase it in the sim. But definitely pick this one up. It is a ton of fun. And of course, all the scenery that we've been using has been default, part of the world update that brought pretty much all of Scandinavia a little bit more up to speed. And I quite like it. I quite like it a lot. Alrighty, Fred, any parting words? No? You're just going to sit there? Alright, buddy. To each their own. Can't wait to get Kara back. If you enjoy what you've seen, please feel free to give me a like and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already done so. And I will be back sometime in the very near future with some more Microsoft Flight Simulator goodness. Thanks again for watching, folks, and I'll talk to you soon. BelGeode signing out. Ciao.